views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Welcome to the hit show Love Living Radio, Ignite Your Whole Being with Emily Perkins on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Do you love your life? Are you truly free in being your authentic self? In a stress-filled world full of distractions, Love Living Radio is a space to explore how mindful presence can steer you toward an ignited life. What does a life you really love look like? Emily shares her innermost vulnerabilities and breaks down barriers through conversations about sex and relationships, the magic of plant medicine, and so much more in order to share the power of living your life with love and loving the life you live. Now, here's your host. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Love Living Radio. I am your host, Emily Perkins, and I am so excited, as always, honestly. I love doing this show. I say that every single time. I do. I say it every time. I'm so excited. And you know what? It's true every time. I love doing this. It's so much fun. And I never thought I would ever be doing this, to be honest. It never really crossed my mind until my friend Ryan got me into podcasting, and then the Transformation Network reached out to me, and I was like, okay. So I just am genuinely excited to do this every time. Even if I'm by myself. There's just something really cool in getting to share. And that kind of weaves in a little bit to what we're going to talk about today, which is connection. So last night, I was sitting in bed and I was reading my emails, and I have this teacher and friend who is probably the only person that actually listens and watches all of my shows. And I'm so honored that he does. And also just really, it makes me really happy and grateful. Cause I always have some kind of a response from him, like some kind of feedback or reflection or something. And this past email, he said something actually, which, as a coach, feedback is the way that we grow, it's also a really good way of getting to push your edges of feeling wrong or feeling like not enough or not feeling perfect. It's just a great way to kind of get you outside of all that stuff and just see feedback as love, someone who cares enough to tell you, hey, this is what I saw. And, maybe there's a growth opportunity there. That's actually pretty loving. So he sent me this wonderful email, which is about, how it affected him. My last episode about noble men and women coming together. And he reflected back that it was the first time that he felt like I wasn't talking to him, straight to him. And to be honest, to out myself, it was one of the few episodes where I felt myself not fully present and connected. And I think it's because I was talking about what I'm doing next instead of how I feel, instead of it being personal reflection a lot of the time, which some of it was. I think sometimes where the disconnect happens is when I'm talking about something that I'm passionate about that's a calling to people. I kept saying that I'm not a preacher in that episode, and I think that's maybe where the disconnect was. But anyway, the reason why I share that is because without that reflection, without that feedback, I wouldn't have known how I wanted to come into this one. It actually set me up really powerfully to know that this thing that I want to talk about today, community, is something that I want to be present with you and let you know that I am talking to you, to all of you, but especially to whoever is listening to this. So, when I was also thinking about what I wanted this episode to be, because I actually don't plan each episode like way in advance. Most of the time, they just kind of like fluidly show up and intuitively, like it's like, oh, okay, that next thing. Ooh, this is what's really present. Like, oh, this is what's next. And I was actually thinking about it as I was walking Mulligan the other day, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had no idea what I wanted this episode to be about. And I was thinking about past episodes, and I saw a theme kind of and a flow. How trust, which was like a month ago, leads to connection. Connection makes space for community. And watching this really cool way that these things just kind of showed up naturally and intuitively to build on each other, to support one another. Like trust is the foundation for connection. Connection is the foundation for community. And I've always kind of had like a funky relationship with the concept of community, whether it's, and we can think about community in a lot of different ways, whether it's your friend group or your work group, your peers or your family or your town. There's so many different ways to relate to and see community, but essentially it's the coming together of people. And I've always kind of had this, like I was thinking about this a lot today. I've always had this kind of funky distance when it comes to community. When I was going through pretty much all of my schooling from high school, college, I noticed that I was never really, honestly, even grade school, I was never really very cliquey. Like I didn't really ever belong to one group. I always had friends and felt like I kind of like drifted and shared connection with everybody. And while I think that was like part of my natural desire to just connect with everyone, I think it was also this funny survivor self part of me that never wanted to be confined to one thing, to one version of myself, but also like if I wasn't super connected to one group, it's almost like I didn't have a responsibility to them. And this is like super outing my survivor self. But I noticed that I never had like this really strong foundation or pull towards one community or towards the concept of community. I was always kind of like, I like to like feel strong in myself and do my own thing and know that I've got my own back and blah, blah, blah. And honestly, like when I was thinking about it and I was writing up some description for this episode, I noticed how that's kind of a theme, like this. And I've talked about it in past episodes, especially around the episode around connection. We all kind of do this separate and alone dance in life where we always think that, ultimately we have to have our own back. We have to be the one. We have to, like, underneath all of it, that we are alone in it. And kind of also like this, I got it. Like, I got it all the time. And in doing that, we kind of miss out on the like juicy, beautiful, I don't know why, but the word surrender of support comes in. Like as humans, we're not actually meant to do it alone. We're not. Like we're actually pack people. We're here on this planet in the billions to connect with one another, to support one another. And I think that's why I saw that beautiful connection from the past episode about the way forward is together. Men, women, all of us. That the way forward is together. And that beautifully kind of opened up this door as I was walking Mulligan the other day to trying to figure out what I was going to do for this episode. And I was like, oh my God, of course. It's community. I was literally thinking about the words. I was like, well, what am I going to do for the title? And it just kind of came. It was like so perfect. It was like a little drop in, and you have those moments where you're like, oh yeah, that's it. That's what happened. And I saw the trust and the connection and the togetherness that just happened last week. And that what was meant to come for this one was community. So how do you relate to community? Do you do the I got it? Or my other favorite, which another coaching friend and one of the women in my mastermind said the other week, she called it the I'm the only one syndrome, which I love, because we all do it. Like I'm the only one who feels overwhelmed. I'm the only one feeling like I'm failing at life. I'm the only one who's scared and sad. I'm the only one who's struggling right now. That funny little thing inside of our human condition that has us say we're alone and the only one. And that voice, that conditioning, that like phrase that subconsciously repeats for us is the thing that keeps us so separate. And not only so separate, but like honestly, a little bit disempowered. Because there's a reason why we're stronger together is a thing. Like the human race is meant to connect. So, and I think the other thing that I really noticed too, which is also such a powerful and beautiful part about community, is that in coming together, in sharing space, whether it's online or in person or over a group texting, like in sharing with your community and being present with this group of people that somehow you're bonded to, you actually get to realize that one, you're not alone. And two, so much of the stuff that you struggle with, so much of the things that you feel like you're so alone in, other people are experiencing too. It's the same reason why I show up to this radio show, to let people know that one, they're not alone. They're not the only one that feels that way, that experiences life that way, that struggles with that. Like you're not the only one. And in that not the only one, it almost kind of like lifts the struggle a little bit. Like all of a sudden you're not carrying this boulder by yourself anymore. You have your tribe. You have your people. And you also realize that you're part of this big, beautiful thing called humanity, which, I think that's one of the things that I love so much about this concept too, is that like in looking at the ways that we all experience so much of the same things, all of a sudden we're not black and white, men and women, gay and straight, rich and poor. We're just humans. Like the one thing that bonds us together and actually has so much of our human experience be the same is our humanity. And it's this beautiful connector, which is power. Not power over, power together. It's a beautiful thing. It really is. And I think that, some of the ways that we can be more powerful in community is just that, in realizing that we are all just human. Outside of all of our distinctions and differences and labels, we're human, ultimately. We're humans that feel pain, that feel sadness, that feel joy, that get to experience beautiful things like love and sex and babies and dogs. And, this beautiful gift that is our life as humans. And, in creating that space of connection and creating that space of togetherness and community, we actually get to have a little bit of compassion, or at least this is my experience of it, that this space creates the possibility of compassion for the things that we are different in, for the things that we maybe judge in others, in seeing that other people struggle with the same things, and seeing that people also feel really lonely, and seeing that people also feel like they're failing at something, or that they are missing something. I see that a lot, that people feel like they're missing some part of themselves or some part of their life. And in seeing the things that we are so similar in, and seeing and the ways that we see this is by sharing, like otherwise we all stay in these separate alone little bubbles, feeling like I'm the only one, and I got it because I'm the only one. Like that story plays out when we don't connect, when we don't share what's going on for us, and that's another beautiful part about community, is that it is your space to share. So what are the ways that you maybe not only relate to community, like do you see it as something supportive and something that you really desire? Or is it something that feels like a burden, or something that feels foreign to you, or something that you wish you had but you don't, or you feel like you don't? Like what are all the ways that you relate to the concept of community? Because I guarantee you, in looking at that, you're probably also going to see all the ways that you create disconnect. So it's kind of fascinating, and it's also really exciting, because the way forward, in my very humble opinion, is together. Like we've just got to do this together. So if the way forward is together, and we're coming up on a new year, like we have this amazing opportunity in December every year to look at what we want to create, what really means something to us, what part of our life maybe needs a little bit of love and attention and growth, and how might we be able to find the support that we need to do that, to move forward, to create the thing that you really, really want. So, who's your community? Who do you want to be your community? Like that's actually a really cool question. And it also brings up all sorts of other cool stuff around, like, who are you in alignment with? What are you in alignment with? And are the people in your life right now also in alignment with that? Are they bringing the best you forward? Do you feel at home? And that's another piece about community that is always so fascinating, and also kind of like brings up a lot of stuff for people, including myself, is this concept of belonging. You feel like you belong. And, I think it sometimes is something that maybe comes with age. Also this concept that I think we feel as humans our whole life sometimes, this wanting and desire for belonging. And community is a big way that shows up. So if you don't feel like you have a community where you belong, if you are searching and desiring that sense of belonging, what's stopping you? What's getting in the way of you feeling like you belong? Is it them? Is it you? Is it both? Most likely it's something within yourself, some kind of belief that we have, like, oh, I'm not cool enough, or they don't really see me, or like it just feels too vulnerable to be really connected to people, to have that responsibility of friendships or family or whatever, like that sense of responsibility that we sometimes feel inside of community. A lot of people, that's what shies them away from it. So take a look, get curious. How do you relate to community? Is it powerful for you or not? If it isn't, what's that all about? What's creating the disconnect? As always, treasure hunting is just so much fun. Okay, so we're going to take a short break, but before we do, get curious. Take this time to take a look for you. What do you want your community to look like? What do you want it to feel like? And what's getting in the way? Okay, we'll be back in a little bit. Thanks for joining us. We'll be right back.
A space of allowing radio with Coach Nancy Coco, welcoming all that wants to be present today. Tune in Thursdays every first and third week at 9 a.m. Pacific on transformationtalkradio.com as Coach Nancy helps you find a space of allowing. Join Coach Nancy to explore what lives at your edges and to bring more of yourself home. For more information, visit nancycococoaching.com.
Living Lighter Radio with Jason and Patricia. We have an ecosystem approach to your life. Tune in weekly every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio as we, Jason and Patricia, discuss what's truly holding you back. We offer you the tools you need to reach your goals and at the same time be living lighter. For more information about Living Lighter, visit www.livinglighter.org.
Golden Otter Divinations Radio, where the metaphysical meets the mainstream with Autumn Seibel. Tune in the first Friday every month at 9 a.m. Pacific as Autumn, educator, health coach, and medium, explores metaphysical and mainstream strategies on how to elevate your level of conscious living. Draw in the abundance that is yours by divine right. For more information about working with Autumn, visit goldenotter.us. That's golden like the precious metal and otter like the precious animal.us.
Hey there. Welcome back. I'm Emily Perkins, and you're listening to Love Living Radio. And before we took a little break, we were talking about community and what gets in the way of you creating community and what makes you feel like you belong. Also, like what are the feelings of belonging, that come up for you? Because they're such a human, it is such a human feeling to want to belong. And I think community is one of those things that really kind of heightens that a lot. And I would challenge you a little bit to look at that, to look at what has you say that you don't belong somewhere. What is that for you? Because so much of the time, it's a lens that we have. It's a lens that says, I'm not cool enough, or, I don't know how to do that, so I'm not as good at it as everybody else, so I must not belong there. And it's the lens that says, that funny little disempowering belief that whatever it is for you, like that lens that says, I'm not cool enough, or they don't really like me, or I'm not skinny enough, or I'm not whatever. Like all of those things that say all of our reasons for why we don't belong. People don't get me. I'm weird. I'm just better by myself. I'm a lone wolf. There's so many different lenses that we have and that we create primarily as protective defense mechanisms so that we don't actually have to feel the vulnerability in community. Because it is. It's kind of vulnerable to be that connected to people. It's vulnerable to feel responsible to a group. It's vulnerable to feel like you belong, because it is this desire that so many people have and want, that the thought of losing it is really scary. So in looking at your lens or lenses around community and belonging, what do you notice? That was my challenge to you before the break. What do you notice about your own lenses? And are they actually true? Are they actually authentically true, or are they some kind of protection for a fear or a wound? It's interesting. So I noticed this week, actually the past couple of weeks, some of my own stuff around community come up. So I am a part of CORE, this program that I talk about all the time. And I'm going through their LDT program, and that is a leadership development training program. And it's been a year, or it's total a year long. And we're coming up in December on our big workshop. So a lot of our work, a lot of our learning has led to this, to us as a group creating a workshop. And a few weeks ago, we had a little break in our group. Another person left. And without divulging details about our own experience as a group, it's been a little bit rocky. I'm not going to lie, it's been rocky. We've had a lot of challenges throughout the year as a group. And it's brought a lot of stuff up for people. And what I noticed for myself around this community, right? Like CORE is my tribe, one of my tribes. And they are so much this really like heart-centered community for me. Like it's where I feel the most me. It's really, truly like I'm so grateful to have found it. And this has made me really falter a little bit in my trust with the program. And regardless of what's happened, like what I notice for myself in terms of community is that when I feel like I'm not safe, or when I feel like I'm not held, or when I feel like my leaders, even my parents, like not just leaders in programs, like the leaders in my life, whether it's a mentor or a parent or a boss, which I haven't had in a really long time. Regardless of what it is, when I feel that leadership not holding me or showing up for me or putting me as a priority, what I notice for myself is it triggers this wound that I've got to get me. I've got to make sure that I've got myself, and like I see the flaws in this, so I must be a better leader. Like I'm totally outing my survivor self right now. But like this is the stuff that comes up for me, especially in a group. So when the leadership feels, to me, this is my experience, when I feel like the leadership doesn't have me, what do? What does my survivor self do? It's like, well, hands off, back away. Okay, you don't care about me, I'm not going to care about you. And that's not powerful. That is not connection. That's my survivor self thinking that it needs to protect myself from getting hurt. And I'm a lot stronger than that. And so are you. We don't actually have to protect ourselves from the things that we think are so scary. We're so much stronger than we think we are. So, and just in noticing it, right? Like just in noticing what comes up for me when my community feels like it's cracking, when those bonds or that container feels like it's falling apart. Where do I go? Where do you go? For me, I'm like, whoop, okay, I'm doing my own thing. I got this. I got me. I'll figure it out. I'm fine. I'm okay. And then I detach. I don't show up as much. I'm like on to the next thing already. And I know I'm not the only one, which is why I share this. Like I know I'm not the only one that this is what happens when you feel a break in community. And it's so powerful to be able to highlight these things, to be able to look at them and notice them, because we can see how our survivor self plays out, and sometimes our survivor self is there to protect us. Sometimes it's disempowering, the thing that we really want. Like the thing that I really want is my tribe. The thing that I really want is a powerful experience with my people. And in leaning back into that and going to another meeting that was set up by another member to connect again, to reconnect with my tribe, which I had to really kind of talk myself into. And I know I wasn't the only one, but some of us had to really talk ourselves into showing up to community again. And as soon as we did, most of us walked away realizing, oh, right. Like this is why. Because I love you guys, because community is supportive, because we're stronger together, because we're all going through so much of the same stuff. And in sharing it, we're like, oh, okay. You're doing it too. You're feeling that way too. How do we create this experience to be powerful for us? And I walked away feeling so connected, but also so excited when I was feeling really resistant and disappointed. So like when that container of community starts to shake, because it will. We're humans, right? We've all got our stuff. We've all got our funny little survivor self. So that container is going to shake, and it might crack a little bit. So what happens for you when something happens in your group of friends? Do you back away? Do you just kind of, maybe you're one of those people that's just kind of like, go with the flow, like, oh, it's all right, whatever. I'm just going to do what everyone else is doing. Or maybe you're the fighter and you're like, no, I don't think so. I was going to swear, but I didn't. Like maybe you're the person that's like, I'm going to do something about this. This is not okay. How does your survivor self show up when community starts to break down? And the reason why I bring this up is because in knowing ahead of time how our survivor self is going to show up to the eventual breakdown in community, you get to actually call yourself out and maybe show up a little bit more powerfully in service of the thing that you really want, which is probably connection, which is probably your tribe, which is probably like the experience of belonging. Like that's underneath the part that's like either the fighter or the like passive or the back away. Like underneath all of those tactics that we do is actually desire for connection or love or safety or belonging. Those beautiful primary feelings that are just so real. So I had such a real and powerful experience with this lately, and I'm about to leave on this week to go to California to actually be with my tribe and actually have to create a workshop out of scratch in one day for people that we all care about It's all of our people that are showing up to this workshop, our friends, our family. It's very personal. And it's also work that we're sharing that we all feel really passionate about. And that's the other beautiful thing about community, is that it oftentimes links us in the things that we love. And that is a pretty powerful bond, love. To me, it's everything. But if you think about it, like the thing that connects people, that can connect people in a community, as powerful as love, is just, I keep seeing it as like this big glowing gold ball for some reason. But like, the power in that is not just for each individual person to feel loved and seen and understood and heard and belonging, like it, and that sense of home. Like it's not just that, but actually in creating those feelings, we're creating a bigger energy of love around the world. It's no small thing. It's no small thing. Love is no small thing. And that's really the thing that glues it all together. And I think keeping that present too allows those moments of breakdown, those moments of crack within your tribe or your container or your family or your friends or your support group, whatever it is, when those cracks happen, keeping in mind that the thing that bonds you at the very root, at the very core, at the very foundation and base is love. Even if that thing is a marriage, community, it does not necessarily have to be a huge group of people. It can be two. Technically, that's more like a partnership, but it's still community. It's still togetherness. So, we've talked about a lot. I've talked about a lot. I wish you guys were talking back to me. Next time, we'll open it up to callers. Actually, that is something that I would love to share with you in service of community. Next episode, we are going to open it up to callers. So keep that on your little to-do list, maybe, if you feel like you want a little support and you want to maybe create a community. I'd love for you to call in and start chatting. I think it'd be really fun. And, that's, I guess, the other thing that I was thinking about when I was, thinking about community for this episode, kind of melting off of what I was talking about last week around togetherness and men and women and creating these group programs for men and women, these group coaching programs that I'm going to start in January. Is also that sense of community. It's landed so powerfully for me this year, both within my core experiences, workshops, the LDT program, but also in this new mastermind that I started. There's just everywhere in my life, I'm just noticing how powerful and how important it is for me, at least, to experience community. Especially someone who's really independent and powerful and driven. And I like to rely on myself. I do. And that has oftentimes led me to not leaning into the power of community. And I know that I am stronger with my tribe. I am stronger with support. 110%, I am so much stronger and more powerful with support, which is one of the many reasons I will always have a coach or a mentor. I know that I want that support in my life because I show up as the best version of myself, and it constantly challenges me into the next phase, into the next awareness, the next growth of myself. it's so beautifully addictive to go treasure hunting and like to unravel the next layer of who you are. Oof, it's so cool. It's so cool. And the way that I do that, yes, I do it through my own work, but I do it so much more powerfully in community. Like the Noble Man workshops that I talked about last time, in being, oh my God, and being so immersed in that community, in those workshops, you'd literally just feel like you're encapsulated in a bubble of love. It feels like the rest of the world just melts away, and all of a sudden the things that are true and real and the most important, like love and community and connection, are the only things that exist. It's such a rare experience. It really is. And you walk away feeling like you just have these soul tribe people, like people that you've just met 2 days ago. It's such a brilliant experience. And it's such a testament to the fact that community can be created instantly. It doesn't have to be people that you've known your whole life. It doesn't have to be people that you've been working with forever. It doesn't have to be this thing that you have to work really hard at for years and years and years to build. Community can be created like that, in open-hearted communication and sharing yourself. Because I guarantee you, in sharing yourself, you're probably going to touch something in them. Like you're probably going to hit on something that they're like, oh God, yeah, me too. Oh man, I'm so glad you said that because I've been feeling the same way. Like in sharing yourself, not only are you letting someone in and letting them see you, but you're probably opening up some space for them too. So community doesn't have to be this thing that like is hard. Like it doesn't have to be this thing that takes a lot of time. It can be, it can, like obviously community builds, but like that's the opportunity, not the hindrance, that you can grow and build inside of a group, inside of your tribe, inside of your community, and that you can build it like that. And the way in, the how, is by you showing up as you, authentically and openly and vulnerably, because that's what draws people in. Like vulnerability. Another beautiful thing that I got out of my last mastermind with this brilliant group of women was vulnerability is visibility. In being vulnerable, you're allowing people to see you. And you're also like, in being visible, you're like a magnet, like you're just drawing in those people, whether it's your clients that you want or the friends that you want or the lover that you want. That's your community too. So how much can you open up? How much can you let people see you? How much can you share in service of creating your community and your tribe? And also in service of reaching those people that are also looking to belong, that are looking for their people, or even just someone that may be going through the same thing, struggling with the same stuff. We're stronger together every time. Like every time. And I am also in this moment just feeling really, really grateful. Really, really grateful for my community and my tribe. And also realizing in this moment that includes you. Whoever you are out there watching this, listening to this, that you are now a part of my community and I yours. And that's how simple it can be. Like that creating community can actually just be in creating connection, which is made possible through trust and vulnerability. And I'm pretty damn lucky. I am pretty damn lucky. To have the tribe that I have, to have the people in my life that I have. And I know that a big part of that is because of how I show up also. Like I know that I am lucky to have the people that I have in my life because they are who I chose and who chose me. But a big part of that is how we show up. Like how do we show up to our life, our people? And, like I realize that the place where I'm going next year is very much so group, like these beautiful group coaching programs and doing more workshops. But I'm also really present to the fact that it's going to be a little bit different for the community that I have here locally in Newport. This community that has held me and is probably 80% of why I have a flourishing practice. I haven't done any marketing. It's all been word of mouth. It's all been from people who have just been, kind enough to share, to talk about it, to talk about me. And I am really present to what an honor that is. And also feeling a little bit sad at the same time, that, that I'm not going to be as present to that community, at least not physically, for 2019, with doing a little bit less of my hands-on work and also traveling a lot. And I'm also present to the fact that community is not necessarily about who's in front of you. Like I know that the people in this town, that my friends and family and my core tribe and, even my professional network, all of these people are a part of my life, regardless of whether or not I see them. They're a part of my life, whether or not I'm in person with them. And that's the exciting part, that we get to actually take and build on our communities. Like our community. This is so individualized. Our tribe, our community, our people, like you get to actually build them and take them with you everywhere. That it doesn't have to be the people that are just directly with you in front of you. And that opens up all sorts of possibility. Like if it's not just the people that are in your hometown, or if it's not just the people that are your friends that are actually around you, but maybe you'll have friends that live far away. How do you then build on that? How do you build on that connection and that support and that sense of community when you're not necessarily together all the time? And that's something that I'm going to really be leaning into a lot in 2019 when I'm going to be traveling. And if I haven't told you yet, I will be in and out a lot. Costa Rica in February, probably down to Florida in March, out west in January maybe, but then in April, I am going to be traveling with Remote Year. This really cool program that caters to people that can work remotely and sets up your itinerary and your flights and your apartment and your workspace. And then you travel with 60 other people from all around the world for 4 months or a year, depending on what you do. And I'm doing 4 months. So in April, I am going to be taken off and going to Croatia for an entire month, and then Lisbon, Portugal for a month, Valencia, Spain, and then all of July, I will be in Cape Town, South Africa. And I think the reason why I got so emotional before was because I wholeheartedly, undyingly love my community and really realize how much I need it. Despite the fact that I think I can do it alone, I need my community. I need them. And as a very independent woman, that is not an easy thing to say, but it's true. And so I know that community, those people, those relationships that I've built throughout the years aren't going anywhere. And I know that it is also going to take a little bit of effort. And for those of you that live abroad or aren't near your people, it might take a little bit of effort to create the thing that you need in your community. And whether that's like weekly calls, scheduled calls, or video calls, or planning out the times that you're going to come home, or making a conscious effort to text every once in a while or at a certain time. Like, there is some sense of effort in creating connection and responsibility to your community. And I guess the thing that it's in service of is first you, to let you know that you are loved and supported and belong, and also that we are so powerful when we show up in service of others. Like if you're super stuck in your stuff, get in service of someone else. I guarantee you it'll probably shake you out of it. So there's so many reasons why we should show up, why create community. There's so many reasons. And hopefully, over this past 45 minutes, it's highlighted a little bit of that why for you, and also a little bit of what maybe is stopping you from really creating and empowering your own community. I know for me that, going into this next year where I am very much going to be creating a whole, and that's the other thing, like the whole reason why I'm doing this, why I'm choosing to go travel abroad for 4 months is actually to create a larger community. It's actually to create a bigger network. I the whole intention of it is to go global, as I keep saying, and it's not just going global to go global. It's actually, I want to create more love. I want to meet more people and connect with more people and help more people. That's the whole intention of doing this trip. So I guess I'm actually having so much awareness in this moment of the fact that, like, one, I'm going to have to stay really present to my community that I have and trusting myself to lean into it and to really acknowledge that I need that support and want it and to put that effort in, and also that I'm going to be building my community on a really big scale. And that's super exciting because it's all in service of this thing that I keep talking about, which is togetherness and connection, and the way forward. So thank you. As always, thank you for choosing this moment, for taking the time to listen, and for giving yourself this moment too. Like, above anything, I acknowledge you for giving yourself this moment. And I love you. I am grateful. I am honored to have you as a part of my community. If I can support you in any way, whether it's group coaching, which is a beautiful community, or one-on-one coaching, please reach out. Reach out. You can find me at lovelivingholistics.com. You can also email me if you want at emily@lovelivingholistics.com. I hope that you have a beautiful night, and I hope that you found something in this moment. I'm very grateful. I hope I see you next time. And I wish you so much love in your life. Thank you. Bye, guys. Thank you for listening to Love Living Radio, Ignite Your Whole Being with Emily Perkins. Tune in every second and fourth Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on transformationtalkradio.com as Emily shares the power of living your life with love and loving the life you live. For more information or to listen to past shows, visit lovelivingholistics.com. That's lovelivingholistics.com. See you next time.